Welcome to Fear the Fallen's weekly replays. I'm Arctic Blast, and I'm joined this week by
Deadborn 1. How's it going, guys?
And we start out with Space Ace on steps in his M18 Hellcat.
Definitely showing off the maneuverability of the Hellcat with this one, and the fact that you just need to keep it going, and that thing will just do work.
He's also joined with AJD Steel in a platoon, so he at least has one person he knows he can count on.
Yeah, and that's definitely a key thing in these matches, especially with the Hellcat with such low armor, is to have that partner that can really help you out of a jam or a bad situation. And even if he is getting a little aggressive, as you see here.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
But he's also making use of, he's making use of the fact that with his turret sticking out in front of his tank, he's able to cut around these corners just a little bit better than other tanks can.
Yeah, he had to do the repair on that engine. Hellcat without that engine is most likely going to end up being a dead Hellcat rather quickly.
It's a good shot on that ELC, even if someone else ends up finishing him off. But him and AJ Steel walk away with brothers in arms, and Space Ace gets a high caliber.
Solid win there for those gentlemen.
This time we're watching Shadowhawk on Erlenberg in his Jackson.
Yeah, he definitely really enjoys this tank. You see kind of early on here how he takes a whole lot of damage, but uses the maneuverability to see that he's taking fire from behind, but even with this turret jam, he's still going to go around and get that kill, and then re-engage any other targets.
Yeah, he doesn't panic. He just gets up close. When he knows he's not going to get shot, he takes that opportunity. He repairs, whips his turret around, and gets the kill. You can also see there that he has a sixth sense, so he takes advantage of knowing when he's being spotted.
He's definitely just using this tank as exactly what it's made for, is taking those opportunity shots, being available, and using the fact that someone might be tunnel visioning a heavy, but you can sneak around in a Jackson that may or may not be as interesting, and take those opportunity shots to really help out your team, and then a clutch shot like that.
Yep, and he ends up getting 6 kills there, so he gets a top gun, and he's happy. Here we are once again watching Crazy Bob. Usually he's earlier up in the replays, but this week he decided not to submit as much because he wanted to share some airtime with other members of the clan.
This is definitely his therapy tank since he's unlocked it. Just going to town here, and that's really lucky here. This already takes the shot and hardly even damages him. Already decided to aim at the very outside of him, and now it's all left is to thump him and move on.
He's like, oh, really? You want to shoot at me? Well, let me shoot at you too. He works his way back here towards the cap because it's being heavily pushed on. I mean, it's another E100. I mean, if he thought it was hard for him to get destroyed, well, the enemy thought the same thing. And he's like, oh, well, I'm an E100. I'm going to sit on the cap. No one's going to hurt me much.
And then here you have him sees that his TD there is having a little trouble with that enemy tank, and being an E100 and being one of the heavier tanks in the game, decides to show this little guy why that's his TD and he doesn't want it being damaged by some little tank.
Yeah, he just spins him around, which most likely kept him from getting that shot up on the Ag Panther because he couldn't aim with himself being spun. He ends up brawling with his E100 here at the end, just one-on-one. I mean, it was like a 3-4 minute back and forth until they finally closed the point blank, and Crazy Bob just got the shot off first. And he walked away with the steel wall. Here we have Space Ace on Enskin's E25.
Yeah, this tank is very good at just rapid fire, just keep on shooting, keep on going. if you're ever in a turning match where you're having to go back and forth around a corner, that's not the battle that this tank is good in.
Yeah, and that TD's just lucky that Space Ace was paying attention, because you really don't want to cut between an E25 when he's engaging. I mean, with that rate of fire, he's bound to, shoot a friendly if he gets in the way. And then there he's just
showing it off there, just blowing away that cover to get to this Churchill.
Yeah, he's like, whatever, accuracy or win the game. And so he just shoots the stuff that's in the way, just because he knows that it's not going to affect his rate of fire all that much.
And for a Churchill player who usually has the rate of fire over his enemies, an E25 is, for the first time to be seen, is rather a surprise.
Yeah, no, he made a mistake here at first with the ARL-44, not zooming in the chute, so his rounds were hitting up high and bouncing off the mantle. But as soon as he zoomed in on him, I mean, it was death pretty much. He ends up playing this cap situation. He switches sides because they started taking some cover and damaging him from the one side. So he's just like, okay, well, I'll just stick around to the other side, and plugs them off, comes in here, gets a Jackson, gets a Top Gun, and they end up coming away with a win.
Solid victory and great work by Space Ace.
And here we are, joined with Crazy Bob once again, this time on mines in the Su-100. He's takes up an early position up there at the on the A line. Just he's able to see both, down both on the lighthouse and over at the cap from here. So really no point in him needing to move too soon from the beginning.
And that's the great thing about what he's doing here with this tank is you see him come down at this point because that higher position was just no longer viable, no longer an aid to the team, and he's very, very good at maneuvering to that next position where he can start firing off more rounds.
Takes a shot from that Su-100Y, but he's like, okay, I bet you he's not going to leave his position. And so he just waits, takes a shot, knows he's got to get a shot off first, and he does. And so, it just goes to show, if you're going to be at a TD and you're going to take a shot, either know that you're going to get a second shot before the other guy does, or just move, because don't bank on the fact that, that you were invisible and hopefully he didn't see you. This time we're with Crazy Bob in a Su-152, and he's on Abby.
Using that first 152 derp cannon. Holy cow, that thing does damage.
Yeah, he likes it, and I don't know if he's going to, replace it once he gets the next gun unlocked, because he's just enjoying it as it is.
Much to these light and medium tanks' chagrin. It's in a little trouble here, but repairs the gun and goes back to firing away.
Then he finds this tank just frozen up. He must have decayed or something, but, Crazy Bob has the solution for that.
Just, oh, you're stuck on the hill? Let me take care of that for you.
And then he's like, oh, you're a light tank and you're going to come up from my side. Well, that's why I backed up against the wall.
Yeah. Scouts like anything except the front of this tank. That's for dang sure.
And then he's like, okay, where's that Cromwell at? And he's like, oh, there's the Cromwell. And, ooh, my round's too slow. The team ends up coming away with the draw, but, he more than carried his part. And here we have Shadowhawk on Insk in an AMX-12T doing some passive scouting.
I can't imagine how stressful this is just watch the tanks come up. 1, 2, and then a big tank right there. I believe that looks like the T-34 with that huge gun doing 400 damage per shell. You've got at least 4 or 5 tanks back there, and yet he's not pulling the trigger, which is a huge thing for scouts. Not a lot of them are.
Yeah. I mean, if he were to have shot, if he would have shot at that T-25 too, he maybe could have gotten 2-3 shots off on him. Maybe he could have killed the T-25 too, but then the T-34 would have rolled in. Just one shot, he would have been gone. So, yeah, he's actually doing the team a favor by having not shot. However, his team's not repaying his generosity by, killing these tanks that he spotted for him.
And that's unfortunately just part of having random matches. Is sometimes you'll get team members who kind of can figure out what you're trying to do and will work well with you. And games like this is just not enough cohesion to really get the job done.
Yeah. So, once the middle's cleared up, he decided, okay, they got the cap, they should better handle that. I'm going to come and I'm going to go arty hunting and finally get my kills. So he unloads 2 on the arty. He goes back to get his 3rd one and someone else finished him. So he's like, okay, well then I'll just deal with this Cromwell here. And once again, he gets him right near death. 1 shot left to go, and someone else kills him again. He's like, man, I can't get a kill. So he comes back towards the city because by this point, they've lost the cap. And so he's like, okay, finally, Super Pershing, boom. 52 hit points, but whatever. He gets himself a kill. Then he moves up to the cap, and he's like, I got to get a reset because it's the only way we're going to win. But, he rose up, he starts shooting, and it's like 5-on-1. A light tank doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, you definitely have at that point where he did everything in his power to get the job done, and it just wasn't enough for the team. Here we have yours truly, Deadborn 1 in my WZ. This one's actually a little bit heartbreaking for me because I'm up against that object, and I get into myself into big trouble right here, and I'm like, I'm so dead at this point. And saved by the IS-7. This guy comes flying in and just shows this object that he doesn't want his light tank destroyed, and he's more than willing to do something about it. So I take the moment to thank the IS-7 and decide to continue helping him out. So I'm rolling on this enemy IS-7 to do my best to keep ours alive, and yeah, I donked my shot and end up hitting the IS-7 that saved me. So take the time to apologize and just keep rolling with the game.
Yeah, you guys come on with a defeat, but, it still shows good sportsmanship. Here we have some footage from some recent skirmish battles. This time it was Fear the Fallen versus Otter. Yes, Otter, that number 7 ranked team out of all the other clans in North America. I immediately saw that they were running 3 Cromwells, a Hellcat, and a Type 64, so I'm like, there's no way we're going to be able to beat them if we try to push. So I was like, let's hold back, wait to see where they're coming from. It becomes clear that their scouts are pushing the 1-2 lines, but we're like, where's everybody else? Fire Blaster's in his AMX-12T. He's looking around to try to find them. We find them. They're coming up the center. I go to get a shot. I miss my shot. He hits me from his Su-100Y, but he hits my track. I repair, I roll, I come in, I get a shot on the 100Y. He gets another shot on me. Once again, my track. He's not happy. We start engaging him, just moving it around. We end up killing a Cromwell there, and we're just getting these shots. We're just capitalizing because we happen to all be right there on the cap, so we're able just to focus fire. We take out the Su-100Y right there. We come in, we start decimating on that one KV-1S.
And if you
Get shot on the
notice,
yeah.
taking a look at that mini-map is just the spread of the Fear the Fallen team, is how much you guys really kind of take different positions there and are actually making it so if they want to take shots on any one of you, they have to focus in on that corner, and then the opposite corner can go to work.
We ended up losing Fire Blaster Boy, but just because he was trying to circle around behind. But we ended up taking everybody else but these last 3. We don't know where they are. So Shadowhawk he's up there in the KV-1S on the 3 line, along with our Hellcat, who I believe was being run by Herbie at this point. Either that or it's Ramrod. Actually, I think the Hellcat was Ramrod, and I think Herbie's up in that M4 E3 headed down the 3 line. We end up identifying that they're all down there on the 3 line. They push, we push. I'm coming down here. Casey Buddy's coming down with me. Black Star's coming down. We're hoping that we can get into some of this action so that it's not just all Shadowhawk and Ramrod. But sure enough, Shadowhawk and Ramrod take out those 2. It's just this Type 64 left. We're doing this mad push to try to get him. And he ends up, he goes down like the rest of them here in just a second here. And we beat Otter 7-1. I'm sure they weren't happy.
Still a solid victory and great leadership on your part, kind of not micromanaging, but giving the team positioning as they needed to get it done.
Yeah. So this time we're against Harmed, and we're up on Corellia. We decided we're going to push Fire Blaster Boy and his AMX up north the spot and keep Herbie back on Overwatch. Ramrod pushes down the south with us, and he's going to head for the donut. We're actually following along inside Shadowhawk's tank this time with me, Black Star, and KC Buddy following close behind him. Ramrod here gets an early spot on the Lux, so we're like, okay, well, there's their Lux, but where's everybody else? Shadowhawk's like, well, I could deal with the Lux, comes around this corner here, nails him, plugs him entirely. We end up spotting the Cromwell up north. We're like, okay, whatever, it's just a Cromwell. You know, the AMX and the Hellcat could deal with them. We just keep pushing up towards their cap here. But then we start spotting these KV-1Ss. We're like, oh, crap, they're all north. Let's circle around. You know, because Fire Blaster, you know, he takes care of the Cromwell. Okay, that's good. So maybe he and you know, Herbie can hold off long enough for us to get back. We leave Ramrod up top so that he's up on the hill getting crossfire, but we end up losing Fire Blaster there. So like, okay, whatever. We're still up 2-1. We should be able to handle this. Not a problem. So we're trying to roll back as fast as we can, and we're like, wait a second. Let's go and send KC Buddy back to their cap so that we can get some cap pressure, because we should be able to handle it because we're up one tank. He heads back, and the rest of us push. And we decide that we're just going to split right here and do a 3-prong with our heavies so that we can try to get as much fire on him. Herbie's down here. He's dealing with these KV-1Ss now. I mean, he's definitely outgunned at this point. I mean, 2 KV-1Ss, 1 Hellcat, but he's trying his own. You know, he's dodging and he's trying to get some shots in. But, you know, he doesn't have much long to live because, you know, I mean, freaking 4 KV-1Ss and an M6 against the Hellcat. But he tried. I mean, we got some damage on them. You know, they didn't walk away unscratched. And Shadow just, you know, he keeps pushing here. He ends up coming up and he wants to engage these two. Black Star's continuing to go wide. I'm pushing the middle here. And we're just hoping that we can get somebody in focus and just be able to get some clear shots. I start shooting up at that KV-1S there. I get a shot in, but I think that was pretty much like the last shot I managed to get in on him for a while because he ends up hiding behind a rock. Black Star and Ramrod decide they're going to deal with that M6, and that leaves Shadowhawk here alone to deal with these 2 KV-1Ss, and we still have one that's not been spotted. You know, he keeps poking. He's just being cautious here because he doesn't want to push too far forward because he doesn't want to get more than one shot in on him.
And if you're looking at the mini map here and you're looking at the spread of tanks, these 3 1Ss, yes, they're concentrated together, but they have their turret traverse being used against them. Because as one of your tanks moves forward and they turn aim at him, another one's also moving up in order to take that shot from behind while nobody's aiming at him. So
yeah,
just enough to tease them and get them to where you want them to be to take your shots.
Yeah, and so at this point now, Shadowhawk's actually dealing with 3 all by himself. We've taken out the M6 by Black Star and Ramrod to combine, so now Black Star is trying to circle up and around. We take him out, and so now it's just 2 KV-1Ss. There's 3 heavies, but then I get lost. But it's still 2 heavies against 2 heavies at this point. Ramrod's pretty much out of the picture at this point because he can't get any clear shots because they're hiding. Shadow turns, sees him, gets that shot. He's gone. We start capping, so, you know, there's a lot of this pressure going on, but it's still 2 heavies against 1 heavy, and Black Star's closing in fast behind him. He gets that shot there, and now he's distracted, which gives Shadow this opportunity just to push up on him. And so he charges him, ricochets a shot, nails him, tries to ram him, doesn't quite finish him off, but that's okay because Black Star's there to finish the job. And we walk away with another win for Fear the Fallen. So that wraps up this week's replays. So don't forget to subscribe, and it's a new month, so vote for your favorite replays for this week and every other week in September for a chance for a clan member to win some gold.
Yeah, definitely join us next time.